Tokyo Scramble, welcome back to the channel. This is lesson 2, and I have in my hand right here the key that is going to make you that much closer to being totally fluent in Japanese. We're reading through a copyright-free manga called Blackjack ni Yoroshiku. This is the book number 1. It's by Sato Shuho, and in order to follow me, you're going to have to check the description down below. There's a link with the free PDF download to this manga. I've also included a Google Doc that I've been updating, and I will continue updating through all of the lessons. That includes all of the vocabulary, some notes on the vocabulary, as well as grammar points and a lot of example sentences you can use to help yourself study and understand the grammar. Without further ado, this is lesson 2. Let's get started. Here we go. Let's get started with your homework from last time. It was this page. We can read through this one together. You can check your understanding to see how you did. And okay, here we go. From the top. 昨日の朝からもう24時間以上ここにいるよ。俺もさ、教授の事件の手伝いでさ、3時間しか寝てねえ。じゃあ、僕の勝ちだ。2時間しか寝てない。だだん。Okay, let's talk through the meaning a little bit. So from the top here, 昨日の朝から、from the morning yesterday, from yesterday morning, もう already, 24時間以上, over 24 hours, ここにいるよ. I've been here. So I've been here for more than 24 hours already since the morning yesterday, basically. 俺もさ、me too. 教授の実験の手伝いでさ、the 教授, professor, his experiment, so helping him out with his experiment. 3時間しか寝てねえ。I haven't slept but 3 hours. じゃあ、僕の勝ちだ。Looks like I'm the winner. 2時間しか寝てない。I haven't slept but 2 hours. Okay, let's focus in on some of the grammar points on this page. So I want to point out this grammar structure. しかね and しかない。しかない。しかない。The closest direct translation I can think of in English is I haven't but, which sounds a bit Shakespearean, but it matches the grammar structure. So if you just remember it that way, it's a bit easier. 3時間しか寝てねえ. I haven't but slept for 3 hours, if you kind of reverse the order. I haven't slept for but 3 hours. 2時間しか寝てない. I haven't slept but for 2 hours. So this shika nai pattern is very common. And again, if you check out the attached worksheet that the Google Sheets I put in the link, I put in the description below, I put some more examples there for you to look at. Another thing I want to point out is this little guy right here, nette ne versus nette nai. So if you look at these guys, they're both kind of like speaking differently. This guy is referring to himself as ore. Ore is used by men It's like usually it feels like a bit rougher, a bit tougher, a bit more masculine. It would be more appropriate for, like actual grown up adult men to use this term. And it's not formal at all. So you wouldn't use it in the presence of your superiors. You might use it with your friends, or you might use it if you're hanging out with someone who is like below you. And it comes off as a bit rough. So this guy's way he's speaking is a little bit rougher. So, 俺もさ, he's kind of connecting his sentences or his thoughts with this sa. Sa in itself doesn't really mean anything, but it's kind of indicating that he's going to keep saying something more. 俺もさ、教授の実験の手伝いでさ、3時間しか寝てね. He's just kind of saying he's going to be continuing that idea. And then to match kind of that rough character that's using ore to describe himself, it's nette ne. Ne is just a rougher kind of slang way of saying night. So if you contrast this with our buddy Saito, it's the same exact grammar structure, the same exact sentence, but in his case, if you look, he refers to himself not as ore, but he calls himself boku. Boku is primarily used, like 95% used by boys or men. There are some cases where girls decide to call themselves boku, but it's kind of like I guess like a kind of like a tomboy might call themselves boku. So boku comes off a lot softer. You can use it in front of your superiors. It's not super formal. Like in a super formal situation, people would use watashi or watakushi, but boku is like it's more appropriate. You could say it in front of your elders, and it's okay. Also, younger boys usually should say boku, even though these days it doesn't matter. 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 6-year-old boys are saying ore. But there's a lot of, the older generations might think that they shouldn't be saying ore. At least they should be saying boku. It's not appropriate. But he's saying boku, which comes off as a bit softer, and he's using shika nai. He's not using the hard nette ne. He's saying 2時間 shika nette nai, which also sounds softer. Okay, moving on. Okay, so earlier from lesson 1, if you remember, I was about to ask you guys to read this, but then I remembered that it pops up later on, so I just told you don't worry about it, but now we get to read it. So a lot of times for the names of places where it's not so obvious what the reading is, they'll give you furigana. So in this case, we're learning the name of the university. So, Eiroku, 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 大学、医学部、卒業から3ヶ月. You learned all these words last time. So, 英六大学医学部卒業から3ヶ月. 僕は今、英六大学附属病院で研修医をしている. Okay, so let's keep moving. There's a lot of vocab words. So again, please reference the sheet that I've attached in the description below. It would help a lot just to know these vocabulary words before starting. The grammar isn't so difficult here. It's just the words that we're using that's difficult. Grammar-wise, it's kind of pretty basic. Alright, before moving on, let's just talk about the meaning then. So, 英六大学医学部卒業から3ヶ月. 3 months from graduating medical school from Eiroku University. 僕は今 I am now 英六大学 付属病院で、at the Eiroku University. 付属 is like an annexed or an attached hospital, in this case, 病院. So it's just kind of like a university hospital, basically. 研修医をしている. He's kind of like a doctor in training. So he's training as a doctor at Eiroku's University Hospital. Again, the grammar here isn't very difficult. It's just the words. So study that word list and you'll be okay. Okay, next page. Okay, so he's making a weird face and saying, Hora, Saito. Hora, Saito. 注射するのにいちいちそんな顔すんな. Okay, let's break this down really fast. Hora. Hora is kind of like a Japanese hey. Hora. Hey, Saito. Yo, Saito. Chusha. Chusha is giving an injection or an injection. So chusha suru is giving an injection. Chusha suru no ni. So again, in that attached file, I gave a lot of examples of these two participle, kind of like these double participles, like no wa, no ga, no ni. There's about 3 different types of no ni's I can think of. This no ni is like chusha when, like chusha suru bai ni toka, suru sai ni, suru toki ni. So whenever you are giving an injection is the meaning that this no ni has. Ichiichi. Ichiichi. Ichiichi is like, it just means literally 1-1, but you use this to mean like when someone's doing something again and again, each and every time. It means each and every time, but it's usually used in a very annoying way. Like, why do you have every single time? Why do you have to do that? He's being very annoyed. So ichiichi is it's not a nice thing. You're usually very annoyed when you say it. Ichiichi sonna kao sunna. So ichiichi sonna kao. Sonna kao. A face like that. Sunna. Okay, so again, if you check the attached file, I added some grammar points on the lesson 2 tab. What's happening here is common in spoken Japanese, and if you're going to try to understand manga or anime, you have to understand what's happening. Basically, this is like the command don't. The strongest way in Japanese that you can say don't do something is to just have the verb in its regular shortened form, like suru, and then you put a na at the end of it. Suru na. This is like the strongest don't that you can say. And all that's happening is this ru, suru, is becoming an n. Sunna. So if you're ever watching TV, a lot of times in a lot of different situations, the ru will be dropped and will be replaced with an n. Okay, so this is one example. Sunna, suru na te koto. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, let's read through this next part. 研修医っていうのは要するに見習いだ。医者になるには大学で6年間医学を学び、医師国家 試験に合格しなければいけない。Alright, there's a lot to unpack here, so let's walk through this really fast. Kenshui, we know this one. This is a doctor in training. Teiyu no wa. So teiyu no wa is a very common phrase you can use a lot. It's based on two things, just breaking it down. Toyu, teiyu. So when you say something, to, anytime you use the to, it's kind of the equivalent of putting whatever was before the to in quotation marks. If you can think about it that way. Like if I said hello, then someone can say, oh, he said hello. Hello to yuttemashita. Hello to yuttemashita. So this to itself, whatever comes before the to, it's basically like, again, putting these quotation marks around it. Whatever is inside here. So, te you. You is like say. So he said so and so. Or called whatever. So, kenshui te you. So something that's called kenshui. This no wa is another double participle that has two parts. The no is just basically making this verb, you, putting it into its gerund form. A gerund is basically when you make a verb a noun. So in English, it would be like, you would say, call would be calling, or run would be running, or to run, or to call. So this no just puts it into a gerund form, and then the wa is just wa. I mean, what wa is always. So, no plus, it's just the gerund plus wa. So putting that all together, te you no wa, kenshui te you no wa. So, a doctor in training. So what exactly a doctor in training is yosuru ni, essentially, basically, mi narai. Mi narai. If you know these kanji, you know that mi means to see and narai means to learn. So it's just watch and learn. Da. This is a shortened form of des. I think when you're first learning less formal Japanese, there's a temptation to put da at the end of everything, but be careful because it's really easy to sound very unnatural by saying da. Yeah, so just be careful. So, kenshui っていうのは要するに見習いだ. So, what it is that a doctor in training is essentially watch and learn. 医者になる. 医者になる to become a doctor. 医者になるには. This ni wa, this is another double participle. There's a lot of these. They're very important. 医者になるには basically like what it takes to become a doctor. So 医者になる just means become a doctor. 医者になるには means what it takes to become a doctor. 大学で at university 6年間 6 years 医学 medicine, the field of medicine を学び So 学び is to study. So 学び by finishing it like this, it's kind of like allowing you to connect the verb. You're not closing the sentence yet. You're going to connect the verb to the next idea. And then, for example, if I had said like 医学を学んで, and you can connect the verb that way as well. But if I said 学んで, over here, 医師国家試験に合格しなければいけない. Just if I said all this together, if I said 医学を学んで医師国家試験に合格しなければいけない. If I said that, it makes it sound like first you have to study the medicine and then you have to pass the test. When you say like manabi, it gives a sense of like it's not so clear that there's like this step, this step, this step. It's like, I guess you're kind of like constantly learning. It's kind of a subtle, very, very, very subtle difference, but don't worry about it too much. 医学を学び、医師国家試験. This is like the national certification board for becoming a doctor. 合格 pass しなければいけない. しなければいけない, you guys probably know this one as meaning you have to do something, you must do something. There are a ton of different variations on this phrase, you have to do something. I made a list, again, in the attached file on the Lesson 2 tab. If you go down to grammar points, I just listed up all of the different versions I could think of. The full, しなければいけません, しなければいけない, しなければなりません, しなければならない, しなきゃいけない, しなきゃ, しなくちゃいけない, しなくちゃ, しないといけない, しないと. Basically, all of these mean exactly the same thing, and they're interchangeable. Usually, people just choose ones that they like, or they feel more comfortable using, and they just use it. There's not really a meaning difference in any of them. Okay, let's finish up with this page. ところが、その国家試験は医学の知識を見るもので、実技試験などは含まれていない。そこで医師免許を取得したものの大半はその後2年間大学病院などで研修をする。もっと術野を広げろ斉藤。はい。Okay, let's go through this one. ところが but その that previous that one we're just talking about ところがその国家試験は that national exam 医学の知識を見るもので it only is something 見るもの it's only something that looks at your knowledge of medicine 実技試験 this is a practical examination などはNado is usually used when you're listing things, and it's kind of like an etc., like etc., etc. But if you're not listing things and you're using nado, it can just mean something like or anything like. So there's nothing like a practical examination would be a good translation. There's nothing like any type of practical examination. Would be the meaning for this など。実技試験などは含まれていない。So 含む is to include, 含まれる is to be included, and 含まれていない means it's not included. So there's no type of practical examination in the test. そこで医師免許を and so the doctor's license, the medical license, 取得したもの the people who got the license, の大半は the majority of people, もの the majority of people who were able to obtain the doctor's license, the medical license, they after that, for 2 years, 2年間, Daigaku Byoin, the college, university, hospitals, nado. So again, this is the same type of nado as earlier. This nado and the other nado. If it's not being used in a list, it doesn't mean etc. It means like, or something like that. So Daigaku Byoin nado. So at some place like a university hospital is the translation. Some place like a university hospital or those type of places de 検証する. They get training at university hospitals. And then now he's getting trained at the hospital with a doctor already. And the doctor's saying, もっと術やを広げろ. Hirogero is like, again, the command form. This is the strongest type of command. Hirogete would be nicer. Hirogero is like a strong. Hirogeru, to widen. Hirogero is the strongest form of command you can give. Saito, his name Saito. So jutsuya, jitsu is the same jutsu from shujutsu, like the surgery, and ya is like the kanji for field, like an open field. So jutsuya is like the area that they're operating on. And if you're not a doctor, then you don't really have to worry about memorizing this word because you'll never need it. The only time you'll ever see this is maybe on like a medical drama on TV or something, unless you're an actual doctor. Jutsuya hirogero, Saito. Hai. Okay. All right. That's it for today. Next time, this next page, this is your homework, this page here. So go ahead and do your best to read through this page. And see if you're able to read it. Try your best to understand it. And next time I'll tell you what it means. And we can see how you did. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions or comments, anything, please leave me a comment. I love hearing from you guys. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. I'm always looking to improve this channel and help you guys out more. So let me know what you want to learn about and what I can help you with. And we'll get you one step closer to your dream of being fluent in Japanese. Until next time, Tokyo Scramble out.